Donna, also known as Donna and Janelle, CEO and founder of Parenting with a Purpose. Our strive here at the podcast is to reach every home, whether it's single moms, married, single dads, whatever it is, foster parents, just bringing the ownership and responsibility and nobility back into parenting. Get comfortable with uncomfortable conversations. And all parents need some help and guidance, and I'm just here to be a guide.
Let me put that music on so I can. I'm just kidding.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Parenting with a Purpose. I am your host, Donna Janelle. As you know, my job here and my goal is to bring back the responsibility, nobility, and beauty back into parenting. As I say it every week, parenting is not for the weak, right? It is a hard knock life out here for parents. Children aren't the same. The times aren't the same. I'm going to take a deep breath on that. We probably should do a moment of silence for that because these kids are different.
Absolutely.
I tell you every week that I have my one that tests my inner gangster. And that's just like the theme everywhere now because every time somebody hit me up, they be like, yo, my kid's testing my inner gangster this week. I'm telling you, when we raise these kids different than we were raised, they don't realize that we can, that we from where we from. The other thing, so last week we talked about narcissistic, generational curses. There was a plethora of things we were talking about so that we can kind of help one another in this parenting journey. We know that, I don't know about y'all, but when I was growing up, all I kept saying is I won't be like my mother. I won't be like my father. Then I went around and had kids, and then I felt myself having some familiar things. Now, everything they did wasn't all bad. It wasn't all good, but I felt myself having some of these traits that I had to, I want to take a deep breath because the other day, I'm trying to tell you that one. Anyway, so parents are the bows, children are arrows, and they will go wherever we land them, wherever we aim them. As long as we give them the right tools, as long as we clothe them, we don't send them out in this world naked, they will eventually get there. Now, I'm going to tell you now, disclaimer, they might not get there today. They might not get there tomorrow. Hey, it might even take 10 or 15 years for them to get there, but they will get there. They will get there. So as parents, we have to give our kids some grace to grow. As long as we know that we put those tools in them, that we didn't send them outside naked so the world could close them, they will get it eventually. Just like you and I got it, right? Took us a while, but we're here now.
Absolutely.
All right. So this week, my guest, drum roll, is the one and only Pastor Charmaine Lane. Hello. Well, she likes me to say Charmaine Y. Lane. How you doing?
Whatever, as long as you say my name, that's all. It's good. You don't have to do the Y. You can just see Lane, whatever.
Lady Lane.
Whatever one.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Donna Janelle.
Long time waiting. Believe it or not, this show is about to be a year old.
Wow,
I cannot
that's
believe,
a blessing.
Yes, and,
it's a blessing.
You know, it's about to be a year old, and I finally got you up here.
Yeah,
you know.
finally. And Lord, pray for me because I don't know what question she's got, but I'm ready for her. Ready for you, Donna Janelle.
You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about motherhood, and we're going to talk about teen motherhood specifically. Pastor Lane has such an amazing story about being a teen mom. And now a teen mom of one, but now a married mom of three, a grandmom, a great grandmom.
Girl,
you name it, she is.
And that's a blessing though, because some people don't make it to be a grandmom or a great grandmom. Yeah. So it's a blessing.
All right. So we're going to get into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is, as Donna already said, Lady Charmaine Lane with the middle initial Y. You know, I'm assistant pastor to Bishop Billy Joe Lane Jr. of Christian Growth Ministries. I have 3 children, 11 grandchildren, two great. I have 5 siblings, and I make the number 6. What else you want to know?
Nah, that's it. I'm gonna get into it though.
Okay. That's why I was like, oh, you gonna get into it. I knew it. Come on with it. Come on with it. I'm ready for you.
I was thinking when you said Charmaine Lane, then you said, as Donna said, why? And I thought about it because that's one of your questions all the time. So why? Yes. Why this and why that? I mean,
I'd like to know why. Yes, I do.
So that why fits you well.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
All right, so talk about. So we're gonna be talking about teen pregnancy, right? And I know how old were you when you had your first child?
I was 15 years old.
15. All right, so let's think back. That was a long.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say
don't say that was a long time ago. It really was.
I'm not gonna say.
Is he saying something?
You know, he over
there saying something.
But we're gonna get him because
that's okay.
Mic.
I'm not even worried about it. It was a long time ago, but I can actually remember.
All right,
you know what I mean?
Tell us a little bit about.
So the thing is, a baby having a baby. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking I know everything. You know what I mean? Because when you 13, you're smelling yourself, and then 14, you really smelling yourself, and then 15, you like, oh, I
smell good now.
Yes. but I was always told by my parents, don't do that. Mm-hmm. They never said I have sex, but they just said don't do that, and I knew what they meant by that,
okay.
But I didn't understand that. But I did that, so that's how. My son, the oldest son, came about,
Now, let me ask you a question. So you said you came from a 2-parent household.
Absolutely, yes.
2-parent household, parents was great parents.
Yes, yes.
And where do you fall in the line of the children?
I am the oldest daughter and second to the oldest, because Elder Laws is the oldest boy. I'm the oldest girl.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you wasn't like the baby of the group or nothing?
No, I wasn't like the baby of the group. Not at all.
All right. So you had 2-parent household, and your parents said, don't do this. Now, let me ask you a question. Did your parents say, they never said sex, though. They just said, don't do that.
Yes.
You know what that meant.
Yes.
Because I remember growing up, like, especially where we're from in the hood, like, they always say, don't get pregnant. Mm-hmm. Like, that's all I hear. Well, that's why all I heard before was don't get pregnant. They never even said don't have sex or don't get an STD.
Yes.
They said, don't get pregnant. Don't bring no baby home.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they were very angry at me because I didn't listen. You think you're in love and all that kind of stuff until you wake up and you're thinking this person is going to be with you, because it's a fairy tale thing. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, he's going to be with me for the rest of my life. And that's not how it goes. And end up mommy, the baby go home, and there you are with my mom and dad, but my parents were great. Mm-hmm. They were great supporters, even though they were upset in the beginning. Okay. My dad did not even say 2 words to me until after I had my son, because he was so angry with me.
Wow. Because
that wasn't the plan or the design that they had for me or any of the siblings. They wanted to enjoy life, and they made it once Kivas, once I had him, that was a blessing. My parents were a blessing. I never had to worry about a babysitter. I never had to worry about, providing. I mean, they made me work. I had to work. 15-year-old, I had to go to work.
At 15. So yes. Let me backtrack a little. So they were upset, right? And how did you feel though while you were pregnant? Like,
I felt good, even though the environment was tense. Okay. Because now that the pregnancy, there was no other choice. Back then, they didn't do abortions. Mm-hmm. That wasn't an option. Right. You did that. Now you're going to be held accountable for this child, and you're going to take care of this child. Right. So they nurtured me, and that gave me moral standards, whereas moral standards are not the same as it was back then it is today. Mm-hmm. So, I trained Kiwis with some substance, you know what I mean? My mom taught me, and my dad taught me, how to provide. He said, nobody's not going to give you anything, so you have to go work for it. Right. So I can never Coots nursing home and Layton, all these different nursing homes.
At 15, you was out here working?
Yes, absolutely. I worked, absolutely. And far as food stamps and social services, that wasn't even an option. Wow. Wasn't even an option. I had to go to work.
You had to go to work.
Had to go to work. And then when I did work, back then, the money that I made was too much. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was too much. So when they said you can have $10 of food stamp, what am I doing with that? Keep that. So you know what I mean? So I just had to keep working to provide.
Wow.
So, I had to take his dad to court and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't at first because I'm fearful of what he would do if I took him to court to take care of his child. Isn't that amazing?
Yo, that just resonated so much because, as you know, I'm divorced, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I literally just went last week after 13 years
Wow.
to go file for child support.
Yeah, you have to. It's that freedom of taking them and like you don't care what they say,
Right.
because they live in this this lavish life and all this kind of stuff, buying what they want, and you're trying to make ends meet.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm like, oh no more. When he pulled up with that cutlass and brand new T tags on a brand new car, I woke up. I went in town. I went in town.
Joker around here. Guys.
Yes, I went in town. And the thing was, I never went back for an increase. I said, this is your only child, and you know that it costs money to take care, especially when you're taking care of somebody else's child and you ain't taking care of your own.
Yeah,
that's
I see
deep
a lot.
there.
That's deep.
That's a whole nother program.
Yeah.
A whole nother program.
Yeah. I'm like that's a hot topic right there.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. So you didn't in the beginning. You didn't take him for child support because you had it. You like I got this. I
had it. My parents was there. They were providing.
Right.
I didn't have to pay rent. I didn't have to do those things because my parents was always there. Mm-hmm. They provided. I did what I needed to do. Back then I was doing. I made all my maternity clothes because I sewed.
What?
Yes, I did. I sewed because back, I was young, so my mom allowed us to go to girls' club. Our girls' club, pregnant and all. So I, took up this sewing and all that kind of stuff. And I used to make elder laws and my uncle Tiffany's dad pants and everything. Bill don't believe any of that, but I made all of them. Ask my mom. I made all of my maternity clothes.
What?
And one day I went and I had a sewing machine in my bedroom. Made it for that day.
Wow.
Yes, and I just never stuck with it. Never stuck with it after that.
Wow. So dang, you made your own. That's something new.
I made my own because back then the material and the patterns, they were all cheap, and my mom and dad, they bought the sewing machine and bought the things that I needed, and I just made it because my mom. You think about this: 6 children, one household. You got one that's pregnant, and you got to provide for these other 5 people.
Right.
So, money then was tight, even though we still say it's tight today. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So back then I understand it better now that I'm older, of the things that my parents were saying. I didn't go out and have this child, so we got to take care of these 5 kids here.
Right.
So this is something that you can do to help, in the household, because money was tight.
Yeah. Now, was his father involved throughout his life, like as you were raising him?
No, not at all. No, Don. Yeah, it's amazing that my son's father didn't get involved in his life until he was about 40. Yeah.
Where my flag at?
Yeah.
The flag on the plane.
Yeah.
Look, I got the yellow flag on the plane here.
Yes.
Wow. So basically, you were a teen mom, a single mom, raising.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your son.
Yeah.
Now, talking about being a single mom raising a boy. Let's talk about that.
You know what? My son was very good until he got into the senior year because I said, in this world, you have to get an education. So I stayed on him, and I said, you're going to pass and you're going to graduate and you're going to walk because that experience you'll never get back if you don't get your diploma. You don't want to go back and try to do your GED. It's good to do that, but I want you to experience when they call your name, Lakevis Laws, and then the principal says, welcome to the real world. Now it's time for responsibility. Now you got to go get a job. You got to go do all these kind of things. But when he turned 18 and the principal said those things, my son Lakevis decided he wanted to do crazy stuff.
Hold up. Before we get to that, Pastor, you were a teen mom. You graduated high school.
Absolutely. I went to DAPI, and then I went to PS, and then I ended up graduating from Glasgow High School.
Right.
So I didn't allow me getting pregnant to stop me because I wanted to walk with everybody in my class. I wanted to walk with my class.
Right. That is awesome. One of the things I wanted to touch, I really wanted to make a point about that because when you looked at the stats, right, the statistic is that not only do teen moms barely ever graduate high school, but then the stats show that only 3% of them have a college education. So it's even less percent who actually graduate high school or even graduate high school on time because a lot of times the teen mom is like out here fending for the pretty much themselves, and they're working at everything, and they're maybe getting 3 or 4 jobs or whatever, or hanging out, whatever their job may be.
I think they don't utilize the resources that are out there. See,
Yeah.
when I was pregnant, I went to DAPI. So DAPI provided a lot of resources for me. They set you up for the world. So when you leave there, okay, you have this avenue, you got social services, you got this, you got that, you have all them different avenues that you can, set you up for life. You know what I mean? But you have to use them.
Right. So it's not a lack of resources. Is you think it's accessibility to the resources? Or
accessibility to the resources. I mean, and a lot of people's like, I ain't getting on that. I ain't standing on line. You know what I mean? The pride gets in the way.
Right.
See, when pride gets in your way, that's when you miss your blessing.
Right.
You don't utilize the resources because the resources they've been there for all my life. They've been there and they're still there now.
They're still there now.
They're still there now because I even utilized, once I got on my own, got my own place, I went to social services and I got all my bedding. They paid for it. Brandywine Furniture, they gave me my bed. They gave my son my bed and all. I did that. So, you know what I mean? So the resources are there.
Right.
It's just they don't utilize it, and then they don't have the moral support backing them like their parents.
Right. Yeah, the parents.
Because you think about this, their parent, you got a child that's pregnant, and the mom is still clubbing. So you know what I mean. And see, back then when I was clubbing, and when my son came in that club, I knew I had to leave. I said, I'm done.
wait.
Yes, I said, I'm done. That's when you grow up.
Wait, hold on.
Yes,
Yes. Flag. Where's
That's
the
when
flag?
crime was saved, y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, Flag. You said you was clubbing and your son showed up in the club. You was like, I tap out. You know
I'm
what?
out. I'm done. That's
That
when
is
you're done.
so-
That's when I'm done. I can't. There's no way as a mother I'm gonna party with my son.
Yeah.
That's that it doesn't mix. That's not a mixture.
Right.
Because when I need to pour in him, he's not gonna listen to me because he see another side of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I said, "Oh, I'm done. I'm out." And I was out.
You was out.
I was out.
Wow. Okay. So you graduated high school and you kept. It sounds like, for what I know and what I hear from you, is that from day one you always was like a hustler. You was getting it in. You was pregnant. Were you ever ashamed of having Kevis at such a young age?
Absolutely, because when I had him, they always thought he was my brother. So I had to go through that. Is that your brother? And I'm like, no, that's my son. So and years, and then I had to encourage myself and say, this is my son, and you're not a mistake.
Right.
See, that's when I had to.
About that part.
That's when I had to minister to myself and say, baby, you're not a mistake. This was preordained by God because God is a giver of life.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I said, I don't care what people say. So when they said that for years, after a while I got used to it. No, I'd start correcting him. No, he's my son.
Right.
He's not my brother, and I'm his provider. I take care of him. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's so important because when you think about it, I see a lot of stories, a lot of parents, they kind of grew up with their kids, right?
Yeah.
And they consider their kids as their friends. It's like on this show, the last couple of weeks, we talked about this whole friend and parent situation.
Yeah.
It's like, I know like back in the day, and I know I heard all the time, I'm not your friend. I'm your mom. I'm your parent. Mm-hmm. And throughout generations, we have said that, right? So I have 4 kids.
I didn't use that because in my household it wasn't like that because my mom and dad would say, I'm not your friend, I'm your parent. Because sometimes as children, when it's time to discipline them,
right,
it's difficult to discipline them because they say, well, aren't you my friend? Mm-hmm. Friends don't do that, and it makes it hard for you, to discipline the child. So I didn't use that. It's what it was.
I
wore that butt out, my son. Yeah, I sure did.
We're going to get into that.
Yeah, I know. I know you don't like that, Donna, but it's what it is.
But it's so interesting how times have changed because I've always heard I'm not your friend. And I have the 4 kids, and I've told all my kids, I'm not your friend. Like, I'm stern, I'm not your friend. But the one who tests my end against her all the time, her feelings are different. Mm-hmm. So when I said I'm not your friend, it hurt her. It kind of crushed her heart.
Really?
And I couldn't understand that first until I had Bryce and his friend on here, and they were having a conversation about how it from a child who perhaps may not even have friends or connect with friends really well, or they're thinking they're your friend so that they can connect with you, so you don't saying I'm not your friend. Instead of casting them out, tell them what you are to them, not what you're not. So I seen that perspective differently. But yeah, out of all four, only one of them is like, if I say I'm not your friend, like she gets very offended. So now I don't, because her heartstrings are a little different.
And that's how sometimes, Noah will get, my friend, are you my friend? He'll come over later, do that kind of stuff, But, I just believe, like with his mama, Bria, it's a relationship instead of that I'm your friend, because I want you to be able to open up to me and come to me. And at first we were like cats and dogs, but now we can actually sit down and have a conversation. I'm straightforward now. Her dad is totally different, you know what I mean? So I don't shift on you, Donna. I know you're gonna bring me back.
No, you good, because you just talk about different perspective and parenting.
Yeah, so
which is good, because each child. I don't like to call them kids, but each child is very different. So even though you have this standard of parenting, morals and values in your household, that always stays the same, that standard. But however, how we parent each child has to be different.
Yeah,
because
I'm the stern person.
Yeah, I know.
Bishop is. You said I know. Bishop is that grace guy. Grace guy. I'm not. I'm just.
But it sounds like the reason why you're that way, though. You had your first child at 15. You had a son, a young black male at 15.
Yeah.
Whose father was not in the picture.
Yes, that I had to go down a road with him after he turned 18. That he wanted to decide he wanted to sell drugs, and that's before me and Bishop even knew each other. So. I'm thinking I'm, this bad girl, so I go down on the corner where he's at, and I realize it's the worst place in the world where people sell drugs at, and say, okay, you're going to do this game, you're going to sell drugs, let me do this. Let me sit down and show me how you do it, show me how to do it. So I became friends with all the people down there where they was like, kid, get your mom,
Flag
kid.
on the plate.
But, yeah.
Got the flag.
Flag, yes.
Flag, yeah.
When you love your child, you do what you got to do to go get him, because I said the enemy wasn't getting him. And at that time, I decided I'm getting back into getting back into church.
Right.
So I'm like, the covering was on me because I was down there, but I didn't care who was down there. I didn't care who had a gun. I didn't care who sold drugs. All I know that the treasure of my son was down there.
Right.
Because the thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the thief don't come in and get nothing if you ain't got nothing.
Right.
So I said, my son is something. Absolutely. And he would always say, why are you down here? And I'd be hollering, because I love you. And people were like, yeah.
So you so you raised this amazing boy. 18, he decided to lose just a couple brain cells and decided to go out there and sell drugs. And you was like, listen, I'm not leaving my child to. You done already raised him by yourself for these 18 years. You not letting him go like that.
Not letting him go. Not letting him go at all.
That's love, though, because love don't leave you like that.
Yes.
So you went to the corner. So you in the corner. You said, "Show me how to do it."
Yes. I said, "Show me how to sell the drugs. Show me how to sell the drugs." And they be like, "Get your mom." So they see my car. I would go there every day after work.
Wow.
That like I did Elder when he was on drugs. I went and where he was at every day after work. Wow. I went to get what belonged to me.
Wow, that is so amazing. And I want to stay there for a second, because I feel like sometimes, as we see now, parents are giving up on their children.
You can't give up.
Like, all right, your kid, or not necessarily giving up, or maybe just accepting it or condoning that type of behavior. If you're
they don't know how, because, the thing is, if nobody never ran after you to get you.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they don't know how to run after and get what belongs to them. But, when you had a support system like I had, when I had to work, my mother walked my son to the bus stop.
Right.
My mother walked him there, and my mother went back to get him until I got from work.
Wow.
Well, you know what I mean? So, and my dad, they were just great support. I could just think of one time that I wanted to go out and I couldn't go out. It was a New Year's Eve because my mom and dad wanted to go out. Any other time I could go out.
Wow.
Never had a hindrance. Never.
I think it's so important for parents, what you just said, is like go after what's yours and not allow the world to take over what you have already put in that child.
Absolutely. I worked hard, you know what I mean? And I can think of when my son got married, and his father would say, I'll never forget that, when we went into the church hall and where Kivas got married, and his dad said, you did well with your child. I said, that's yours too. And I almost lost it. My mom said, calm down, we're in the church, calm down, calm down. You know what I mean? You know, but anyway, yeah.
Little fire came up out of me. I ain't had
Yeah.
If you was right, I had to raise him by myself.
Yeah, absolutely. But Kivas turned out well, because the road that he went down, he had to go down, because it was amazing. After I kept ministering to him, and I believe Bill, he came in the picture and talking to him, and then he said, baby, you're going to have to let him grow up. You're going to have to let him grow up. And I'm like, you know, that's my baby, and my only baby. We didn't have Bria back then. You know what I mean? So he decided to, and I said, Kivas, you got to get out of the game, because there's only two places you go. You have to go to prison, you go 6 feet under. You know what I mean? So, you know, I guess somebody called the cops and said he was out there selling drugs. They had named everything he was on. So he ended up going to prison. But when he got out, every person that he was around, they began to start killing them. One by one.
Wow.
One by one. And that he began to wake up and to see all the encouraging words, or the wisdom that we had told him, that is the end of the road. You sell drugs, you either go to jail or you're going to go 6 feet under.
Right.
So, you know, when he got himself together, you know, and we got him a job at the hospital twice. Twice. You know, so the second time I said, if you want this job, you have to talk to the VP yourself, the president of the hospital. He did, and they let him in.
Okay.
But he ended up going back out in the street again. So I helped him get a car and everything, but I didn't know that. And somebody called me and said, Charmaine, Kivas ain't at work. I said, he ain't. I called him. I said, where you at? He said, riding around. I said, bring my car. I repoed the car. I repoed the car, and I sold it.
Wow.
I wrote and I sold it.
Wow.
And then he got back up on his feet again, and he bought a car of his own. So he didn't get in trouble again. So he needed his lawyer, the $10,000. And so after he got out of prison and everything down, and so what happened was he said, Mom, I need $10,000. I said, come here, baby. Come to this window. I said, look at that beautiful BMW out there. It looks like it costs about $5,000. You better sell it.
Wow.
As a single mother. I said, listen, I'm working every day, and you never visit me in the prison.
Right.
You never went to the
ain't see
corner
this.
to find me. You know where I am. So you have to sell that vehicle in order to keep yourself out of prison. But what the blessing was, the lawyer said, I'm going to take the $5,000 and I'm going to squash the other $5,000.
Wow.
That's God.
Yeah. Now, Pastor, let me ask you a question, because there's a lot of, young single moms out here who get into relationships because they're looking for somebody to help raise their child. Listen, I want to touch on that. Listen, I'm telling you, this is what they do. Like,
really?
Yeah, they really. If the father not there, in the single moms, a lot of times they attach themselves to other men to try to replace that, or so they won't be single. Talk about, because you.
Well, for me personally, I always, women have to be careful today about what man they attach them to, because you don't know where this man came from.
Right.
See, I have a problem with women that just meet a man and then you leave your girls with this man.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's dangerous, because you don't know where this man came from.
And now, Pastor, not
you know,
even
you don't
the
know what
girls.
he's capable. Boy, too.
The boys,
no,
too.
No, and you leave them with them. Mm-hmm. You know, I've seen on news many times where a woman went to work and she leaving with this guy, he kills her baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or molests a child. So, you know, a lot of women, because of the structure or the foundation that I was built on, they don't have that. So they don't see those morals and standards. All they need to see is, I got this man here. He's going to help me, not thinking about where he came from.
Right.
Or what things that he's dealing with. You know, because you can bring him in the house and he's not looking at you, he's looking at your daughter.
Right.
You got to be very careful.
Dangerous. So on your journey, as you were navigating through this single mom thing, did you feel like you needed a man to help raise your son?
No, I raised my son.
Right.
I was a very independent black woman that I didn't need a man, because everything that a man could give me, I got it myself. I got it myself. You know what I mean? I bought my own shoes. I got my own nail done. Got my own hair done. I bought my own clothes. I paid my own car. So I had everything. So they had to come correct, Bishop.
We're going to get into when you met him.
Yeah. But go ahead. But I'm just
it.
saying,
Yeah.
you know, so they had to come correct because I had it. I was handling my own stuff.
Right.
I paid my own bills.
Now, did you think that you said, one of the things you said, you didn't need a man because you handled yourself. Do you feel like you needed, any thought, did you need a man for your son?
I did because at a certain time in a young man's life, they need a man to talk to because a young man, you know, their bodies start to go through a change and start talking to them. So that's when Bill came in and he was able to talk to Key about those things that he would not open up to me.
Right, okay.
So there, you do need that balance.
How old was Kivas when you met Bishop?
Key was around, what, about 13, 11, 13, 12?
Oh, wow, that's way back when.
Yeah, way back when.
Because you guys been married for how many years?
We've been married for 27 years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. So he was pretty much a preteen when you met him.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, well, maybe 15. I'm thinking. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you're going way back. I'm in my
Listen, you just
I'm
told
in my
me you
60s
remember
now, Don. Okay, you know.
60. I mean, you said you remember it all. So I
Yeah,
thought
okay. Just a little bit.
All right.
Yeah.
So, because it's interesting because I hear, like, you know, I remember when Matt left 13 years ago, right? And in the beginning, I thought that I wanted to find somebody to help me raise these kids. Because what happened was, because not only was it just my two, a year after he left, my sister and her husband passed away, so I became a single mom from 2 to 4 overnight, right? And it was so hard. Like, I literally, a lot of things made it a little bit more difficult because I had a really bad pride issue.
But you know, don't get me wrong, you do need help.
Yeah, I didn't realize that till later on when I was burnt out. But but in the beginning, I was looking for somebody to help raise these kids. So now that they're about 16 to 18, and I'm like, that ain't it.
Yeah,
I already raised them now.
And I was just very cautious about, you know, who I allowed around my son. So even though I wasn't, you know, dating, I wasn't, you know, with this person and that person, I had, you know, some integrity about myself as a young lady. So just because I ain't just go, no, I didn't roll like that.
You didn't roll like that.
I didn't roll like that. I was very, you know, cautious about who I dealt with and who I wanted around my son. You know, I may have a conversation, but you couldn't come home with me. That wasn't an option.
You couldn't come home with me.
No, that wasn't an
You
option.
ain't even know where I live at, probably.
You couldn't come home. That wasn't an option.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I had to, as parents, we have to protect our children.
Right.
You know, and sometimes we always say we haven't lived just yet, you know, as young parents today.
Right.
You know, they want to, how you get a break from taking care of your child? How do you get those, you know, nowadays the young people want to take a break. They always want to travel. They always want to do this.
That's it, because it's hard out here with
Listen.
How you get a break? It's hard. It's hard. Listen,
It's only hard if you make you.
These parents tired. They
Tired
tired.
of what?
They
Tired of what?
They
Listen,
tired.
you got to have a balanced life.
Yeah.
It's got to have a balance.
Yeah, and I think because a lot of times the majority of people have not taught how to.
Right, because my mom taught, you know, for as preparation for his food and cooking and preparing your clothes before you go to work. You know what I mean? All those things was taught at a young age.
Right.
As far as washing clothes, you know what I mean? Not just, you know, just throwing clothes to the side and not washing them, just go buy more. No, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's what's lacking now. I feel like the structure of
It's different.
raising children is very different. Like you said earlier, you said something about parents want to party with their kids and all that, or, you know, even though you had your child, young parents is like, listen, I ain't lived my life. Well, you got a kid now.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's not
when
saying
you
can't live your
decided
life.
that.
You just make different decisions. Like,
You
you can
do.
live your life, but live it healthy. Live it okay.
Yeah.
So Kivas was like a teenager when you met Bishop, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now that happened, and then you became a blended family now because you've had a child and already, and then he came on the scene. As a young man, was it hard though, like for the Kivas, like, because a lot of times when you bring a man into a house for a kid who may think that they're a man now, right? You 13, 14, 15, I'm the man of the house.
Kivas was he was gung-ho about the whole idea.
Good. Wow.
He gave up his bedroom when Brandon came over.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it was never the issue with the children.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so the parents.
Okay.
You said, okay. You want to throw a flag in there?
Wait a minute.
You want to call him over here?
The parents,
Because more so because, I don't know. Go ahead, ask your question. Go ahead.
No, because there's two different perspectives of parenting.
Absolutely.
And then, a lot of times, we as moms, so we're raising our sons. And I think one of the things that I've read and I see a lot of times is that sometimes we're raising our sons to be, we're not raising our sons to become men. We're raising our sons like we're raising these boys, right? Mm-hmm. So then they become, the old saying, mama's boy and stuff like that because the mom has raised them. Mm-hmm. But there's different because I try not to have my son be a mama's boy, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to have him, but I can't teach him certain things. I'm not a man, and I don't have them parts, and I don't understand.
And I had to learn that because when my son's father wasn't in his life, I tried to replace his father's life in his life by things.
Yeah.
I would buy extra clothing. I would buy all this stuff, and it still didn't equal up to time spent with his father.
Right.
And it was just a waste of time, and I had to grow into that. You know what? I only can be the mom. So I just got into my position, my place, and I just told Kivas, okay, you know what? I can't make excuse. And one thing I never did, I never downed his dad ever around him. He had to find out on his own. And
Say that for the people in the back.
Yeah. You never, as women, I don't care, women never down the child's father. Because you think about it, it was your thinking, your choice. Right. You chose this man. Mm-hmm. Now you're going to down him in front of the children. What makes that? How that make you look? Right. When you down that man that you said is no good, but you slept with him.
Right. And it crushed your kid's heart.
So I never did that. I never, ever spoke a bad, ill word about his father. Yeah. He learned. I said, because I tell women, the children is going to grow up.
Absolutely.
They will find out about their dad. You don't have to say anything. But
I think I had the single men on here. The single fathers on here. I had AJ, Ray, and I had them on here. And one of the biggest things that they kept saying is that what was causing the issues is the moms was causing issues. Either if they didn't pay a certain amount of money, they couldn't see their kids, or if they didn't do a certain thing, like the
that's the immature mom.
Yeah, would really withhold their children from them. And you just made a good point because you said time is important. Mm-hmm. Because you can buy your kids whatever. The dude can give you whatever, however much you give you a month. But if he don't have that relationship and time with their son,
and the thing with Keith, he used to spend time with his father, but when he came home, he would say, "Mommy, they did this to me. They did that to me." Mm-hmm. So I have to protect him and say, "You know what? You can't go back over there." Right. So, I didn't let him go back over there because every time he went in his father's presence, he was always blamed for something. So he came home, he left happy, came home sad.
Crying.
So my job, I need to go out. So I needed to protect him because a lot of women still send their child over there, knowing their father's abusing them or the girl abusing them. And then, you know what I mean? Then you raising this bitter child. They're mad at you because you didn't protect them. We have to protect our children.
We have to protect our children. I think it's such a line, though, right? Because when you think about it, I remember when Josh was going to his dad every other weekend, right? And Josh would cry. He wouldn't want to go. He would grab my ankle. He would do all that.
They speaking.
And as a mom, I'm just like, I don't want my son to grow up thinking I withheld him from his dad. I didn't want that look like you didn't let me go to my dad's and whatever. I felt like, although his dad wasn't abusive to him or anything like that, he wasn't doing any physical harm to him. And
the environment.
Yeah, he literally when he would go to his dad's house, he would always be in the basement. Like he would never spend that time with his dad. Because at my house, we talk, we do all this stuff, social stuff. And for years, because I was like, as a mom, I have to make this decision to send him because it's better for him to be around his dad than not to be around his dad. But now that the older that he become and he has this social anxiety disorder, and I think like, heck, did I make the right decision? Like he wasn't physically hurting his child, but at the same time, I'm now trying to heal some things because he didn't get the things that he needed.
Right. The thing is, we have parents have to remember when you go through a divorce, the child goes through one as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the parents don't understand that, the separation, they're affected by it as well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We don't see those type of things. And then, I wish dad come home, but now I got to go over here and see him. So anxiety, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You be around people you really don't know and all those different type of things.
I like how you said it, though. Our job as parents is to protect our children.
We are supposed
by any
to.
means necessary.
Yeah.
And as parents, you have to make those hard decisions.
You have to.
It wasn't a good environment for him to go. You ain't getting my son no more because
I just made a
you
decision.
breaking him down. I got to build him back up when he get here. He was built before he left, and now sometimes as parents we got to make that decision. Even because parents now, like you said, talk about break. What's a break? Parents be thinking they need a break, right? Not thinking parents be needing a break, right?
They do. Parents do need breaks,
And
but you prepare for breaks.
They send them into the environment just to get a break, and sometimes that environment breaks the child.
Yeah, because you don't know. I mean, because why do women send their children in environments that they don't even know what's going on in the environment?
Yeah.
Then you leave your child in it. I mean, is
Protecting
that break worth breaking your child?
That's another
Yeah.
topic. Is
Yeah.
the break worth breaking your child? Okay, I'm gonna have to use that.
I mean, is it worth it?
Right. So I think you made some good points of just how important it is to protect our children by any means necessary, and even if it calls you going to the corner and making sure that your son get from out of there.
Oh, he got out of there. Yeah.
So all right, so that's fast forward. So that part. So now you met who's now your husband, and became a blended family, and you start parenting together, and it seemed like Kiva started to get himself together a little bit more. The older he got, so maturity set in, and he's like, I'm not going to be out there like that. How did you feel? Because your kids are Kiva's and Bria are how many years apart?
All of them are 10 years apart.
10 years apart.
All of them are 10 years apart.
Wow.
Bria's 10 years apart because when Kivas is 46, Brandon is 36, and Bria's 26.
Wow. That's a card. That's a game.
Yeah.
That's a hand. That's a hand
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
That's a hand right there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So navigating that, single mom, blended, was it hard for you to adjust to being married?
Yes.
After being single so long?
Mm-hmm. It was. It was for both of us. It was a shocker because the day I was getting married, I said, "Oh God, Mom, I don't know." She said, "You can't turn around now." I was like,
now. You're here now.
I was like, because it's a commitment,
Right.
You know what I mean? The things that I used to do, I couldn't do because I had someone to answer to. Vice versa, he had to answer to me, which he wasn't not listening as well. So
He wasn't
so
listening
yeah,
as
because he used to doing his own thing back then. So we had to make some adjustment because
Right.
I'm just an independent woman, and this guy like what I'm going to tell her where I'm going or who I'm going with when I'm I'm going to get back and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So it was an adjustment
because being an independent woman, we get such a bad rap of we don't need people, we don't need a partner, we don't need somebody to connect with us because we can hold this on by ourselves because we're strong, right?
Yeah.
And then when you start to date, that's why I was asking, because then when you start to date and they want you because you're strong and independent, you got your own this, that, and the other, and then when they get with you, they just like maybe you a little bit too much because now pretty much like.
But that's where you got to that balance. You know what I mean? You don't want
you got to be able to
come off as I'm better than you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you got to give that balance and all that. It's a balance.
Like I constantly think about like whenever I get in a relationship, right? And it's like because I've been doing this so long by myself as a single mom, making it happen, and I just like, would I be able to? I mean, I've been married before, so I do know how to.
Yeah, you'll
relinquish
be able
that,
to, when you're ready. Once you get out of school and once everything gets settled with the children and that Mr. Right come by,
Well, not no little kids though. My kids are older.
But you gotta
They
pray
out
about,
there.
yeah.
They out the house. I'm gonna tell y'all now. Disclaimer: I'm not doing.
Donna
crazy.
don't want no man with kids.
Well, I don't, but they gotta be grown.
They gotta be grown,
They gotta be
y'all.
older than my kids because I ain't going back. I got God kids if I want to do something.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
I
You
think-
gotta be ready.
Yeah, I think as being a single mom raising our children, I like how you said earlier. Though I want to get back to the fact that you said that you knew you had to switch your position. At first, you were trying to give him everything.
I did.
Because the father wasn't there. And I think we all can relate to that, really, honestly, of trying to fill a void that we think that needs to happen. But in reality, we can't fill somebody else's space.
Yeah, we can't. But I had to recognize that.
Yeah.
I had to recognize that. And when I recognized that, a light bulb went off. And I didn't change the quality in which I was, giving my son. I just pulled back on some of it. You know what I mean? So I had to pull back on some of the things because then I didn't want him to go out in the street and say, well, she can't give me those things. Let me go steal, or let me go do this. Let me go do that. So I needed to pull back because I didn't want to create a monster. Right. You know what I mean? Because through the roads that Kivas went through, he turned out to be a great husband, a great father, a great mentor. He's doing an excellent job as a father. And I'm just proud of him and Brandon. They both handling it. I just got to get the girl home married.
Why you trying to marry her away? See, that's what I'm talking about. I get her home married. In her time, she will be.
Yeah, she will be. The right one, Mr. Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Right, Mr. Right.
I do have a question for that, too, Pastor. So many times, parents, once your child gets 18 and this primarily really just in the African American culture really is once your child get 18 they need to get you 18 now, my job is done, you go about your business.
That's not true. That's a lie.
Right. And a lot of times, and this is what happens that's why these young adults are out in the street doing A, B, and C because most of the time their parents have kicked them out. My job is done. I got through you high school, you 18, my job is done. Because I constantly hear, I can't wait till my kid turn 18.
No.
What's your take on that? Talk about that a little bit.
My take on it is that love them while they're young because your heart's going to ache when they get older. Because, you put them out into a world they're not ready for. They're totally immature and they don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? So, my take is just don't put them out, let them stay there, save up their money,
Absolutely.
For their rent or whatever they got to do, don't put them out. Don't do that.
Like the teaching don't stop when they turn 18.
It doesn't stop. It begins.
Yeah.
The teaching begins.
It's because it changes because now you're teaching them how to live as an adult.
Right, because then, with Kivas, he wanted, I said when he started working, so he wanted, I said, well, I'm going to start charging you $50 for rent. Oh, you taking all my money.
That's what they be feeling like.
So he got mad and said, I'm leaving. I'm moving out. I'm going to pay $500. I said,
it don't make sense.
Are you listening to yourself? I'm only charging you $50 a month. You got to go pay $500 a month. Didn't work. He ended up back at the house. Back at the house.
Because we let them, he wanted to leave, but a lot of times parents let their children go too soon and think that they're supposed to raise. They're not done being raised. Though.
They're not
just
done.
Just because the law said you 18, but we know that
they still need some
girls
nurturing.
and boys mature at different ages too.
Absolutely.
So when we send them out there, finished. I was wondering. I had a conversation. I was coaching a mom, and she kept saying, "I can't wait till you turn 18. I can't." I'm like, no. Let me tell you something. Don't do that because they go out. They're going to come back.
Yeah.
And all right. So, Pastor, what would you say to two sides of the question?
Give me first side.
The first side is, what would you say to a young mom who is now pregnant, right? And just don't know what to do. Like they feel lost. They feel, that they feel defeated. They feel that they did something that now the rest of their life they have to deal with this consequence, and maybe they don't even feel like they can become something besides a teen mom. What would you say to them?
Well, what I would say to a young lady that is pregnant, just because you're pregnant doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Don't let a baby stop you from getting your GED or your diploma or you even working. Don't let a baby stop you. If anything, allow this experience to grow you up to grow you up as a mother. You know what I mean? Take advantages of all the resources. Make sure you ask for this help. Don't sit back and mope in that condition, but look for help.
Gotcha.
Look for help. You know what I mean? So because a lot of people don't look for it, they just go without even help. I could do this thing by myself. No, you really can't.
No, you can't.
You really can't. You need resources because you think about a daycare bill is not cheap anymore.
Oh man, do you see how much
Go what?
Man,
Daycare for an infant is almost $200 a week.
It's more than that.
Is it?
Girl, you dating yourself. It's more than that.
Really?
Girl,
Listen.
it's more than $200 a week.
Listen,
my
really?
daughter is about to be 25. I remember her daycare at that time was $275.
It's high.
It's like three something.
No, you
now.
think about the Pampers.
Yeah.
And see, they don't want breastfeed. What? All that breastfeed save you some money on milk, but yeah. So all that, I mean, it's a great responsibility, but I just believe that you're in that condition as being a young lady that's pregnant, you're not alone. Mm-hmm. You're not alone. Resources are there. In my first place, I would tell you to go to DAPI. DAPI got all type of pamphlets, all type of information that help you through your process, help you get a job and set you up for life. Mm-hmm. And I just believe those resources are there until you get up on your feet. It's not there that you stay there.
Right.
So that's one thing. Don't stay there. Because I remember back in the day when women would just have another baby to get welfare. As soon as a child happens.
They don't call it welfare no more, Pastor.
What they call it? I don't know, girl. What they call it?
We got to go down to social services.
Oh, okay. Social services. Not welfare, social services. That's how long it's been.
And they don't call it food stamps, they call it EBT.
Oh, okay.
Well, but you said.
Thank you for educating me.
But what you're saying is that make sure you tap into the resources. That you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to do things that are unhealthy so that you can raise your child. There's really good resources out there in every state.
Absolutely.
You just have to tap into that.
Absolutely. Deasia, new mommy. And I love how she's tapping in all the resources that are around her. Mm-hmm. And, she has no problem in asking. Yeah. And that's what I love about her. And you know what I mean? And she's and I tell her, you're doing a good job as a mother.
Absolutely.
Doing a good job. And that's what we have to do is encourage, because we don't have to say, well, you made a mistake. Life is never a mistake.
Right, but we know what we did. We did
absolutely. And we act like we never did that before. Listen. We don't have no room to condemn anybody.
Absolutely.
If anything, we got to encourage a person, or encourage a young lady. So that's what I would do.
All right.
The flip side.
Tap into your resources. So, okay, the other question is, if you have a mother or a father or both together or whatever, parents of a teenager who is pregnant, what would you say to those parents of how they should navigate this, how they should, what would you say to those parents?
Stop worrying about what people going to say about you. Because normally parents worry about, you sometimes we put a front up in front of people that we have everything all together, and then our child get pregnant. Now we want to hide them because we don't want people to say about their child that it may affect who we are as parents. Right. Get past that.
Get past that, because
did you ever look back at your life and the mistakes that you made?
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and I learned that many moons ago when Bria got pregnant. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh my God, what is the people going to say? But you know what? Shoot. I tell you, Tiffany's Aunt Audie. She said, didn't you do it? Wow. It was like a light bulb. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about them. And that's when I was like, it is not about me. This is a Bria's walk and not mine. Our duty and responsibility as as Charmaine and Billy is to make sure Bria is good.
Right.
So that's when we revamped our house, turned our walk-in closet at our old house into a bedroom, and got it ready for a baby in a matter of months.
Wow. So you're saying that parents need to support their kids no matter what.
Right. Stop worrying about what people are going to say about your character.
Right. I think that's the biggest.
That's the biggest thing.
That
They
ego,
was
that pride, that you get hung up in. It's like, oh man, I dropped the ball. They going. I think I'm a good parent because my child got pregnant. But not knowing that everybody has their own walk, and I think we don't give each other enough grace.
Yeah.
You know, because like you said, we were all young before. Now, some people got pregnant young, some people didn't. You just didn't get caught up that way, but you was doing some stuff. And I think that a lot of times what we see now with parenting is like, you got pregnant, you out here doing this, so you on your own. But no.
Yeah, I mean, we all fall short of the glory of God.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And when we stop pointing the fingers at our child, and you know what I mean, and start pointing at our own, stop worrying about what people going to say about us as parents, then we'll be a lot better off. We'll be so much better off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's our pride that gets in the way. As the Bible says before, you know, pride then becomes then the fall. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Get your ego together. Don't worry about people. Support your child. Do what you got to do.
Yo, you be straight to the point.
I ain't got time to play with you. Get your ego together. You know what? And support your child. Absolutely.
Support your child. So basically what you're saying is that if you're a child and you're pregnant and a teenager, tap into the resources. If you're parents and your child is pregnant, 1, don't be ashamed of it. 2, get your ego in check. 3, support your child.
Absolutely, because there are some people out here that have children that are unable to even get pregnant. Mm-hmm. They can't even give them a grandchild. And God is blessing you with this child, and it's amazing what a child will bring to your household.
Right.
Something that's very absence of happiness, joy that you probably haven't experienced, but you're so worried about what people are going to say about your character, your ego, you miss the whole thing. Let me stop.
No, because then you got the neck swinging and stuff. You talk about your character and your ego.
People do get that.
Yeah,
they do. They get
and
upset.
I think we all do, because as parents, we want our children to be better than what we were. But at the same time, I think just really valuing each other, we
want the best for them.
Right.
But that maybe at that time is the best for them.
Right.
That would grow them up to get to that place that you want best for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I would not be where I am today. And I said, I'm not calling them mistakes. Mm-hmm. I'm calling them growth.
Yeah.
Everything that happened to me as a child to where I am today has grown me up to be the woman of God that I am today. Mm-hmm. And I thank God for that. Right. I wouldn't change anything about it, anything.
One of the things that, as I look back on your life, because I've been connected to you for over 20 years now, and just to see, you know, you tell your story about being a teen mom and then where you are now. Like, you know, you were a teen mom, but yet now you have your master's. Wait, you have your master's. Mm-hmm. Like, so just like, it didn't stop you. Whatever, you know, you had a child, it didn't stop you. You continue to work through whatever hand was dealt.
I had opportunities to be a nurse, but that was not my career. Mm-hmm. I like telling people what to do. I really do. My leadership and management is
Pastor,
what
but
I
you
do.
have to say it like that. I like telling people what to do.
I do.
I like leading people. You would say
I like telling people what to do. I do. It's just not in a derogatory way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
She likes leading people, okay?
No, what I do, I like pulling out the best.
There you go.
That's you.
True. Yeah, because you got that why.
Why, yeah. And you know, and if someone said they can't do it, I want to know why you can't do it.
Right. And
then when they do it, then they'll say, oh, wow, I didn't realize that I had that in me.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like, you know, you do this, no, it's not like that. Because I have a wonderful team at work.
Yeah, I think
I'm leading people. I'm sorry, I've learned a lot. EBT, social services, and now I'm leading people. I done learned. I got class tonight.
But I think it's so important that parents. I think that you are a testament to a person that just keep moving no matter what the situation is. Because, like, honestly, a lot of people. I even think back on myself when I had my faith at 19, so I was still a teen mom. I had just got married. Mm-hmm. You know, I was married, had no business at the time being married, but I was married, and before I had her, I literally was going to get an abortion. I wasn't saved. I wasn't a guy. I literally was going to get an abortion because I felt like I didn't want to bring a child into. I didn't want to be like my parents. I didn't want to parent her the way.
But do you think that from I'm took over her
ahead,
show?
she got a question. Come on now, come on, flag on the play. Let's go.
I mean, looking back, I believe from faith brings you to where you are today.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
So one of the reasons why I do this parenting with a purpose, right, is because, you know, when I was younger, I was fumbled. Right, I was fumbled, and my parents did the best that they could with what they had in the situation.
And that's all of our parents.
Yeah, we did.
Right now, we're doing the best we have.
And things can happen, and things get fumbled. I love my parents dearly, and we have this conversation. This ain't no new news. We have this conversation. But what I love about it is that because I wouldn't take back nothing on my experiences or anything I went to, because it made me become a better mom, though. It made me become a better person of the struggles that I went through. So now I can look at parenting from all different angles. I've been a divorced mom, I blended family with kids that, you know, so I'm able to see it from all different areas and know that no matter what the situation, you still could parent. There's a purpose in your parenting.
Absolutely.
It really is. And I feel like sometimes we just throw things away because we may not know how to do it. We may not have tapped into the resources, but resources are available. We just got to tap into them.
Absolutely.
And it's, you know, the whole thing is that a lot of times in society, we start thinking of looking at our children, looking at the youth. Well, where their parents at, or what's going on with their parents. And a lot of times we give our children resources and we don't give the parents resources. Really, because a lot of parents have not been parented correctly, so that they can parent their children properly, so that they can become successful. So we want to make sure that we're giving parents the tools. Because what's sense? And I've always had this question: is to society repairs a child but send them back to a broken home? So then you got it. It's almost like a re-entry program. It's like so we gotta tap into the parents because that's the foundation. Your parents are your first teachers, your first cheerleaders, your first leaders, your first everything is with your parents. So if we don't tap into our parents, how do we expect our youth to survive or be successful? So what you just did tonight was showing them, listen, although this situation happened, you're not blaming nobody, but you were able to walk through life and make sure that your son will have the best life possible. And no matter what, you went to take care, you took care of your responsibilities and you protected him at all costs.
Absolutely.
And things happen, but yet you never stopped giving up. You didn't stop fighting. And I think so it's so important, parents, to know that no matter what, you don't ever give up on your child. Ever. Don't ever give up on your child. And most importantly, don't give up on yourself.
I know.
Because the only reason sometimes we give up on our children is because we give up on ourselves.
Absolutely.
So it starts with you.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it starts with you.
It starts
with you.
They
feed off what you feed out. You know what I mean? So if you feed out negative, you're reproducing what you are. You know, so.
And it's not too late. It's not too late. If you
are
a parent who have not been parented, now you're an adult, so it's time to get yourself together.
Absolutely. And you don't need all them breaks. Nobody need to go away every weekend.
We're talking about these
For real, you know, why they have to go away every weekend?
They got to go out every weekend.
Yeah, why? Yeah.
Listen.
I mean, I don't mind. You know, it's all right to go out, but you don't have to go out that much.
Basically, you're saying
and you shouldn't be partying with your kids.
Don't party with
your kids. Don't party with your kids.
Don't smoke with your kids.
No.
Don't drink with your kids.
Don't get high with your kids.
Don't do none of that.
Don't do none of that with your kids.
Don't do none of it.
Yeah.
I understand that parents need a break. I do. But I also understand
because you're new and you're in a different.
No, I'm 25 years in parenting. What you mean I'm new?
I'm just saying.
No.
I mean, I had breaks, but not like that.
No, I didn't. Honestly, I didn't let nobody else kind of take care of my kids. I feel like these are my kids and my responsibility. And also, when you think about it, our kids, they spend 8 hours in school. So basically, we don't spend that much awake hours with our kids. Honestly, you wake them up in the morning. Say you getting them up between 6 and 7 o'clock. If that, some of them early, they go to school for 8 hours. You pick them back up They may have an after school program. They may have sports or whatever. By the time you get back in the house, it might be 6:30, 7 o'clock. Most kids go to bed before 8:30.
Absolutely.
You really don't have that much awake time with
Absolutely.
your kids to really pour into your kids. So I get what you're saying. Why do you need a break and why do you need to go out so much? What time are you investing and pouring into your child? That's, I feel like, where the gap is, because we're not spending enough time with
Absolutely.
our children to know
and you
who
want
they
somebody
are.
else to teach your child.
Yeah, now.
You know what I mean? But I was raised, and I know our time is winding up.
Yeah, we about to close it out. Mhm.
Yeah. My mom always said, we never spend the night over other people's houses.
Yeah, no.
Never back in the day.
I just had that conversation today. No.
Never spend the night. And they didn't come to our house. Never.
I let
We didn't have that.
I like the kids' friends, because I need to keep an eye on people.
Yeah.
Kids, I need to see what y'all out here doing now.
My dad always kept us on a punishment. God bless his soul. Dad, I miss you. My dad be going a year this year.
Oh, wow.
I mean, this a month on the
February?
Yes, a
Wow.
year. Yeah, I miss that dude.
Yeah, Pop Laws, man.
Yeah,
That was my dude.
my dude, my guy, my buddy.
Wow, it's that time.
Yes.
Listen, that just shows you that time doesn't wait for
Yeah,
anybody.
yes.
Like, time just keep going and going, and it's so important to make sure that we live the best life that we possibly
Absolutely.
can. Give our children the best life that we possibly can. And I'm not talking about material, but also I don't want you to have your kids going hungry either.
Yeah.
But just make sure that it's so important to invest into their spirit, their soul, because remember, parenting is just not about food, clothes, and shelter. It is about their emotional needs, their mental needs, you know. And back in the day, it's like, I put a roof over your head, I put food in your belly.
I heard that back in the day.
Back in the day. And now it's like, it's more than that, because
Right.
even though I hear a lot of parents say, listen, I turned out well, you've been in therapy for 30 years.
Yep.
So what you mean you turned out well?
Yeah.
You know, things happen. So I think it's so important for us to make sure that we're in tune with our kids, no matter what age you are to have your kids. Tap into the resources.
Ask them how was their day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Sometimes the kids come right home. Parents don't even say, hi, how are you? How was your day? I mean, we do that with Noel down. How your day? How was it? You know, what you do interesting? What was different about today?
Yeah.
You know, that's how we get into and find out what's going on.
Exactly. You got to be able to talk to your kids.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
And thank you so much for having me,
For
Donna,
coming in.
Janelle.
Thank you guys for joining Parenting with a Purpose. I am your host, Donna Janelle, where we want to bring back the responsibility, nobility, and beauty back into parenting.
Absolutely.
Our lesson tonight is tap into the resources, being a support to your children, invest in your children, talk to your children, hear from your children, communicate with them. It's not all about material things. It's so important to sow into their spirit.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Donna Janelle.